I still remember the day I decided to buy that house. I was sitting on our tiny sofa, watching my wife Laura chase our 8-year-old son, Ethan, around our cramped two-bedroom apartment. He had somehow climbed onto the kitchen counter, knocking over a glass, while she tried to grab him without breaking anything. They were laughing, shrieking, breathless, and for a moment I just watched. I realized then how much I loved them, how much I wanted to see them happy. Our apartment was fine, but it was small, tight, stifling. We needed space somewhere they could run freely, somewhere like a home. A local guy had told me about a property 2 counties over, a 2-story mansion with a narrow lake out front and a yard large enough to play in. He warned me, almost conspiratorially, that if someone didn't buy it this week, it would go straight to investors and developers, and I'd never get a deal like that again. The previous tenants had left for unknown reasons, the realtor said. That hardly mattered to me. I just wanted it to be ours. I called the realtor, paid what was needed, and made it ours officially. I could barely contain my excitement when I told Laura. We packed, moved, and stepped into the house for the first time. The house smelled of old wood and dust. The ceilings were high, the attic dark and narrow, the floors uneven. I unpacked some kitchenware and discovered a strange, yellowed piece of paper inside a cracked vase. It was a list of rules. Odd rules. Never rearrange furniture at night. Knock 3 times before opening a closed door between 2:50 a.m. and 3:10 a.m. Keep hallway lights on when the clock strikes 3. Any item placed upside down will vanish by sunrise. Laugh in the kitchen after midnight and expect a visitor. I laughed, thinking it was some leftover prank from the previous tenants. But I kept it anyway, folding it and placing it back in the vase. The first night, around 3 a.m., I woke to chairs scraping across the living room floor. At first, I thought Ethan had wandered out of his room, but both he and Laura were asleep. I turned on the light. Every chair was slightly moved, just slightly but precise. I couldn't explain it. The next night, the sofa was angled toward the hallway. The bookshelf leaned just enough to suggest a path. Ethan slept through it. Laura joked about drafts or old wood settling. I wasn't laughing. By the third night, the house was actively showing itself. The kitchen light flickered violently. Books stacked themselves upside down. From behind the cabinets came faint whispers. You should have knocked. I froze. Who should have knocked what? I whispered to myself. Did Laura or Ethan open a door during that precise 2:50 to 3:10 a.m. window? My mind raced. Then I remembered the bus, the rules. It had to be connected. I froze. The next morning, I gathered Laura and Ethan in the living room. I told them everything. The paper, the rules, the moving furniture, the whisper. I explained how I hadn't believed any of it at first, how the sofa angled itself toward the hallway, the books stacked upside down, and now someone, or something had triggered the whisper by opening a door without knocking. Ethan's eyes widened. What exactly should I do, Dad? He asked, earnest and trusting. Laura, however, remained quiet, her arms crossed. I could see the skepticism in her frown. She believed me enough to listen, but not fully yet. We decided to strictly follow the rules. Days passed, uneventful but tense. Then came the night Laura broke one of the major rules. I don't even remember what prompted it. Perhaps frustration, fatigue, or a stubborn disbelief. But she laughed in the kitchen past midnight. The house waited. At first it was subtle, a sudden chill, the lights flickering violently. Then the sound of footsteps in the hall, slow, deliberate, dragging, echoing as if in a cathedral. The walls seemed to stretch, the shadows elongating unnaturally. Ethan clutched my arm, eyes wide as the chairs began scraping themselves across the living room floor, faster and more violently than ever before I tried to corral Laura. But the floorboards creaked under unseen weight. Cabinets rattled. The mirrors reflected more than they should. Our reflections lagged, twisted. I heard whispers everywhere, from the kitchen, the attic, inside the walls. You should have obeyed. The temperature dropped sharply, breath misting. The windows rattled like thunder, though the wind was still. Ethan screamed as a shadow in the shape of a woman, long hair like black tendrils, crawled along the ceiling above him. Laura's laughter from earlier morphed into moans, echoing from the walls, though she was frozen in place with terror. I grabbed her hand, tried to drag her toward the hallway. The hallway lights flickered violently, casting everything into a strobing nightmare. Each step we took, the furniture moved, rugs folded under our feet, chairs blocking paths, doors slamming shut just inches behind us. We ran to the attic stairs. The staircase extended endlessly upward, as if the house itself had grown taller. By some miracle, we reached the attic. The objects there, the toy truck, the scarf, the photo frame, were rearranged, forming a protective circle around us. The whispers intensified, almost screaming. Shadows tried to spill into the circle, clawing at us with shapes that were barely human. I clutched the paper in the vase and repeated the rules aloud, knocking on each door we could reach, keeping the lights on. Slowly the attacks receded, as if acknowledging that we remembered the rules now. We survived the night, exhausted, drenched in sweat and fear. We held each other until dawn. The house fell silent, but I knew it was only patient. The next morning we drove to the nearest church. The priest was polite but could only give us vague guidance, urging caution and faith. As we left, disappointed and exhausted, a nun stopped us at the gate. She looked at us with a weight of knowledge in her eyes. "I know what haunts that house," she said. "It began in the early 1600s. The mansion was built by a family who dabbled in forbidden rituals to secure wealth and legacy. One night, a servant discovered the consequences of their experiments. Spirits bound to the house, furniture, and objects possessed, claiming anything the family brought or left. The first daughter of that family vanished into the walls, and her screams echo through the decades. Every subsequent owner has been haunted if the rules were broken. Those who tried to take items away never returned. The house does not forgive. The previous owners of your property lost one of their daughters and could not bear to stay. They packed their essentials and left the country. Everything else, every object remains arranged and waiting. The house claims what it must and it tests obedience. If you stay, you adapt, or you are lost." Her words hit me like a hammer. The moving furniture, the whispers, the shadows, the vanished items, it all made sense. We returned home. The house seemed calm now, as if acknowledging that we had learned our lesson. We followed the rules strictly. We returned home. The house seemed calm now, as if acknowledging that we had learned our lesson. Only for that day and night, at the crack of dawn the next morning, we left the house, out of the property with nothing in our hands. Only us three and our clothes, not even our cell phones, not even our truck, just us. Because we now knew the truth. Everything that enters this house once becomes the house's property. and its greedy spirit never lets anyone stay peacefully as long as its belongings are not returned. We left before it could claim us as its property as well, leaving everything behind so that its hunger, its possessive spirit, didn't follow us. We returned to our previous county, humbled, cautious, and grateful. We resettled in a modest home, small but safe. I found a steady job again. Laura and Ethan thrived in the space we could manage, laughing and running freely, safely this time. We learned that a home is not measured by grandeur, by a lake or high ceilings, or by the treasures it holds. A home is where we are safe with those we love, and for us, that is enough.